قل إني أمرت أن أعبد الله مخلصا له الدين.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How many people today pray right now on earth? How many people today are fasting today? How many people are giving charity today? How many people are making Hajj every single year? How many people are going to Umrah? How many people are being righteous, all for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Millions of people today are being righteous Muslims, are praying 5 times a day, performing the Islamic pillars, all of them, many Muslims, mashallah. But the true question is, how many of them are doing this sincerely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Listen to the story of Ali bin al-Husayn, Zayn al-Abidin, radiallahu anhu. Once he passed away, and they came to wash his body. Once you pass away, hopefully you're aware that in Islam we wash their body, and then right before we bury them. As they were washing him, when they were getting ready to wash him, the Sahabi, they noticed these lines, these marks on his back. It's as if this man was whipped before, and this man was righteous, so there was no reason for him to be whipped. Usually during that time you'd be whipped if you committed adultery. So this man was a righteous man. He was from Ahlul Bayt. Of course he did not commit adultery. What were the marks on his back for? They came to the conclusion that every night this man would carry a bag of rice or food or grain or wheat, whatever you want to call it, on his back. Every night on his back, and he would pass it out to the charity. He would give it to charity. So why at night time? Because he wanted to be sincere 100%. He didn't want people to notice him. He didn't want people to see him. He was trying to hide this act from people so that it may be 100% for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Every morning, every single morning, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, after the Fajr prayers, after the morning prayers, he would leave the masjid. And Umar bin Khattab noticed this. Now where is Abu Bakr going? He decided to follow him. Now don't say this is stalking, because Abu Bakr radiallahu anh is following Umar bin Khattab is following Abu Bakr for righteous purposes. He wants to see, he wants to learn from Abu Bakr. So as he follows Abu Bakr, he notices Abu Bakr enters a house, and this house there's an old lady. And Abu Bakr, he notices, he sees from the window, or he sees from outside, he sees that Abu Bakr is feeding this old lady. And after he feeds this old lady, he leaves. So Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anh, he goes into this house and he wants to check and see who this lady is. What kind of a relationship does Abu Bakr and this lady, what do they have? How is this relationship so special that it causes Abu Bakr to leave the masjid right after his prayers every single morning? So Umar bin Khattab goes into this house and he sees this lady, and he says, "Lady, what is your story? What is the story between you and Abu Bakr? What is the story between you and this man that comes in every morning?" And she replies and she says, "As you can see, I'm an old lady. I really cannot move like the good old days. And every morning this man comes into my house. He milks my goat or my sheep or my cow, and he cleans my house, and he makes food, and he feeds me, and then he leaves. I have no idea who he is. He won't tell me who he is, and he doesn't know me, and I don't know him." Umar bin Khattab started crying. Look at the sincerity. Abu Bakr radiallahu anh is giving charity to someone he does not even know, and that someone doesn't even know him. And this is why? To keep his intentions pure, 100% for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. During the time of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, people would sleep right next to his wife in the actual bed. So imagine sleeping next to your wife in a bed, and they would remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their inside. So they would remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they would make dhikr, and they would remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and fear him so much that they would actually cry. Now here's the ironic part. They would cry, but the person next to them, their wife, their spouse next to them, they would be so sincere and so quiet when they're crying that their wife would not even notice. And lady says that every day she would give lunch for her husband. 17 years he would take the lunch and go straight to work, and he would always come back with nothing. So she was always, one day she asked, how do you like the food, or what do you know what I cooked for you this morning? And he didn't reply. And that's when they came to the conclusion, that's when she found out that for 17 straight years this man would take his lunch every morning, take his lunch for work, and on his way to work he would give it to someone he had no idea who it was. He would give it to charity. He would give it to a poor man, someone who was poor. Every day for lunch for 17 years. He would prevent himself from eating, and instead he would think of the poor, and he would give it to a poor person on his way to work every single day for 17 straight years. SubhanAllah, can you think of how beautiful that is? The wife had no idea. SubhanAllah, there was a man once, a man who was a very righteous man, who would read the Quran every 3 days. And he had guests over one day. This guest came over to his house to find out how often he reads the Quran. It was secret. It was a secret between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was so sincere about it. He wanted nobody else to know. SubhanAllah, today, if you fast or if you read the Quran, if you finish the Quran, completing the Quran, or you're good in a righteous act or whatnot, people wish that they can put their names in newspapers. Wallahi, it's crazy. SubhanAllah, they want to put their names in newspapers. They want to make a website saying, on this day I fasted, I went to Hajj, I prayed Fajr this morning. They wish that they can make it breaking news to the world. They want to tell the entire world. Why? Take your reward, take your ajr, your reward, from who you love. If you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then take your reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make it between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you want your reward to be from people, then go to people and tell them, I prayed Fajr this morning and I did this and that. Don't even waste your time with your salah. Just go straight to people directly and tell them, I did this. This is a type of shirk. So if you do this, be cautious that you're in deep trouble. This is a type of shirk. You're worshipping not only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're worshipping the people too. And this is very scary, and you should turn away from this. And if you're doing this, then don't even bother praying. Don't even bother giving charity if you're doing this all for the people. That is not the case. That is not how Islam works. That is not how Salah works. That is not how Zakat works. Zakat works between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Salah works between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. SubhanAllah. And because of this, one of the 7 groups of people that will be in the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on a day that there is no shade but his, is a man who cries, who remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he cries. Not in front of people, doesn't cry for the people, but cries for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Cries when he's alone. Another group of people, from the 7 that are in the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is a man who gives charity with his right hand so that his left hand does not know. Now, what does this mean? It is when you put your hand in your pocket, and no matter how much money is in your pocket, you take that money and you give it straight to charity. You don't care how much it is, because you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to reward you for however much you give. So you're sincere. You're so sincere that you don't even care. You don't even look to see how much you're giving for the charity. It's all because of the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you give without even thinking, without even knowing how much it is. That is why on the Day of Judgment Allah rewards you by saying you are among the 7 who are in the shade of His on a day that there is no shade at all. Back to the story I was saying earlier, where a man visits the other man who would recite the Quran or complete the Quran every 3 days. So this man takes off to his house to spend the night to see how often he reads the Quran. And it was told that he read the Quran for 3 days. Every 3 days he would complete the Quran. And he stayed at this man's house, the guest stayed at this man's house, for 6 months. And every time he would walk in to him, he would have the Quran shut. Or he would have it hidden. He wouldn't even see him with the Quran. So he couldn't really know what chapter he was on, where he left off, where he began, how much he read, how much he didn't read. For 6 months straight living in this man's house, and he would complete the Quran every 3 days. The guest had no idea how many times this man completed the Quran. Look at the amount of sincerity, or the level of sincerity this man has reached. So ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that whatever act we do, keep it sincere, keep it directly for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قل قولي هذا واستغفر لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.